Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive.
Yeah.
This time, we're going to try to unpack our relationship with technology.
Oh, that's a big one.
It is a big one.
Yeah.
It really is. It's kind of everywhere we look these days, right?
Yeah.
Everywhere you look, there's some kind of tech vying for your attention.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is, are we really the ones in control?
Right.
Or is all this technology, is it calling the shots?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question.
It is the million-dollar question, and that's what we're going to deep dive into today.
And it's not an easy one to answer, for sure.
No.
It's not just about using technology. It's about understanding how it's influencing us, on a deeper level, I think.
Right. Okay, so let's get into that.
Mm.
I was reading this article the other day that talked about technology as a force rather than just a simple tool.
Yeah.
And that got me thinking about how differently we interact with, say, a hammer
Right.
versus like a social media app, for example.
That's a great comparison, actually. A hammer just sits there until you pick it up and use it.
Right.
It has no agenda.
Right.
But a social media app that's constantly working in the background,
Yes.
collecting data on our behavior and using, all those algorithms to curate your experience. It's designed to keep you engaged, to keep you scrolling.
Right.
And that can be a powerful force to reckon with, right?
It's true. I was scrolling through my feed the other day and I realized I had been watching those short form videos for like an hour.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't even mean to spend that much time on there.
Right.
But it's like the algorithm,
Yeah.
It just kept feeding me
Yeah.
content that knew I'd be interested in.
That's the thing about algorithms. They get to know us so well
Yeah.
that they can almost predict our preferences,
So it's the air.
sometimes better than we can ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that raises some interesting questions about free will and choice in the digital age. Are we truly making conscious decisions, or are we just reacting to these finely tuned systems that are designed to keep us hooked?
Right. So if we're not careful, these apps can really start to take over.
Right.
It's almost like they become an extension of ourselves, which is kind of creepy.
Yeah.
But I totally get it too,
Yeah.
I feel lost without my phone.
Right.
It's my alarm, my calendar, my map, my connection to the outside world.
And that's what's so fascinating about this whole dynamic.
Yeah.
I mean, technology has become so deeply integrated into our lives that it's blurred the lines between the user and the tool.
Right.
We rely on these devices for everything, like remembering birthdays,
Oh, I know.
expressing, maybe political opinions online.
Think about how much information we store on our phones these days.
Right.
Contact lists,
That's incredible.
photos, notes, passwords. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
it's like our brains are expanding into the digital realm. But if our devices are becoming extensions of ourselves, shouldn't we be a little more mindful of how we're using them?
Absolutely. And it's not about rejecting technology. It's about being more aware of its influence and making those, conscious choices about how we interact with it.
Okay. So we've talked about the power of algorithms.
Right.
And this idea of technology as an extension of ourselves.
Right.
But where does that leave us in terms of control? I mean, do we even have any?
We absolutely have control, but it requires effort
Okay.
and awareness. It's like anything else in life. The more you understand something, the better equipped you are to navigate it.
Okay. So knowledge is power. I like that.
Yeah.
But where do we even begin?
Right.
The whole thing can feel so overwhelming.
Well, a good place to start is by understanding, how these algorithms work.
Okay.
We need to kind of pull back the curtain and see the mechanics behind the magic, so to speak.
Yeah.
For instance, did you know that some algorithms on social media, they're designed to prioritize content that triggers really strong emotional responses?
Really?
Yeah.
So it's not just about showing me what I'm interested in.
Right.
It's also about showing me things that'll keep me engaged.
Exactly.
Even if those things are like,
Yeah.
negative or controversial.
Exactly. Strong emotions, whether they're positive or negative, lead to more engagement. And that's what these platforms are ultimately after, right?
Right.
So the more we understand those underlying mechanisms, the better we can navigate them and make those conscious choices about what we consume and how we engage,
That makes a lot of sense. So it's not just about the technology itself, but also about the intentions behind it.
Yeah.
And the people who are creating it.
Exactly.
We need to be more critical consumers, not just of the content, but also of the platforms we're using.
I think you're absolutely right. And that's where things start to get really interesting, because when we start to question the intentions behind these technologies, then we can start reclaiming some of that control.
So how do we do that?
Yeah.
How do we actually take back the reins and build a healthier relationship with technology?
Well, there's no one-size-fits-all solution, but there are definitely steps you can take. It starts with awareness, like we've been talking about. Once you understand the forces at play, you can start to make, more conscious choices.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it feels like technology is changing so fast that it's hard to keep up.
Right.
What about all these advancements in artificial intelligence? How does AI fit into all this?
That's a great question. AI definitely adds another layer of complexity to our relationship with technology.
Yeah.
On the one hand, it has the potential to revolutionize so many aspects of our lives.
Right.
Healthcare, transportation, education. But it also raises a lot of important questions, about bias, transparency, and control.
Yeah. I've been hearing a lot about AI in the news lately, but I have to admit, I don't really fully understand how it works. Can you kind of break it down for me?
Sure. In simple terms, AI is basically about creating computer systems that can perform tasks that typically require, human intelligence, like learning, problem solving, and decision making.
Okay.
These systems are trained on massive amounts of data, and they use algorithms to identify patterns and make predictions.
So it's like teaching a computer to think like a human.
In a way, yes. But it's important to remember that AI is still in its early stages of development.
Okay.
It's not about creating sentient robots or replacing human intelligence altogether.
Right.
It's more about, augmenting our capabilities and automating certain tasks so we can focus on the things that require those uniquely human skills, the creativity and empathy.
Okay. So what about the potential downsides of AI? You mentioned bias and transparency earlier.
Right. One of the biggest concerns with AI is that it can actually perpetuate existing biases.
Okay.
Remember how we were talking about algorithms being trained on data?
Yeah.
Well, if that data reflects historical inequalities or prejudices, then the AI system can learn to make, biased decisions as well.
Oh, okay. Can you give me an example of that?
Absolutely. Let's say you're using an AI-powered hiring platform to screen job applicants.
Okay.
If the data used to train that algorithm is based on historical hiring patterns that, favored certain demographics over others, then the AI system might unintentionally discriminate against qualified candidates from underrepresented groups.
Wow, that's a serious issue.
Yeah.
So even if the AI system itself is neutral, the data it's fed can introduce these biases that can lead to unfair outcomes.
Exactly. That's why it's so crucial to be aware of those potential pitfalls.
Yeah.
And advocate for, what they call ethical AI development. We need to make sure that these systems are being used responsibly and that they're designed to promote, fairness and equality.
So how can we do that? I mean, I'm just one person. What can I do to make a difference?
That's a great question. It starts with awareness, like we've been talking about.
Right.
The more we understand about AI,
Okay.
the better equipped we are to identify potential biases and advocate for change. You can also support organizations and initiatives that are working to promote ethical AI development and responsible technology use.
Okay. So I can educate myself about AI and support organizations that are working to make it more ethical.
Yeah.
What else can I do on a personal level?
Well, think about the ways that AI is already present in your life, right?
Right.
I mean, do you use voice assistants?
Like Siri or Alexa?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you shop online and get personalized recommendations? Do you use social media platforms that rely on algorithms to curate your feed?
Yes, to all of the above.
Exactly. So you're already interacting with AI on a daily basis. The key is to be mindful of those interactions and make conscious choices. For example, if you're really concerned about privacy, you might choose to limit the amount of data you share with these companies.
Yeah, this conversation is really making me realize just how much I take technology for granted. I don't always stop to think about the algorithms that are shaping my online experience or the data that's being collected about me.
I think that's normal.
Yeah.
We're all bombarded with so much information these days that it's easy to just go with the flow, right?
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that we have agency. We can choose to be more mindful of our technology use and advocate for a digital world that, aligns with our values.
This is really giving me a lot to think about. It's like I'm seeing the digital landscape with like fresh eyes.
Yeah.
It's not just about convenience anymore.
Yeah.
It's about understanding the forces at play and making conscious choices about how I want to engage with technology.
That's a great takeaway. And remember, it's an ongoing process. The more we learn about these technologies and the more we engage in conversations like this one, the better equipped we'll be to navigate this, ever-evolving digital world.
Right. This has been so insightful. I'm feeling more empowered already.
Good.
But before we move on, I want to touch on something you said earlier about reclaiming control.
Right.
You mentioned setting boundaries.
Yes.
Being mindful of the content we consume.
Yeah.
And advocating for better tech. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm really starting to see how important it is to be more intentional about my relationship with technology. It's not about ditching my devices altogether,
right?
But just finding like a healthier balance.
Exactly. And that's where those practical steps come in.
Okay.
Let's start with setting boundaries.
Okay.
Think about the areas where technology might be like overstepping its welcome in your life.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is my phone.
Yeah.
It's like a constant companion.
Right.
And honestly, I feel naked without it.
Yeah.
But I also know that I spend way too much time scrolling through social media and checking email.
It's a common struggle, and that's why setting boundaries around your phone use can be so liberating.
Yeah.
It's about reclaiming your time and your attention.
Right.
Maybe you designate like certain times of day as, phone-free. Or create like tech-free zones in your home where devices are just off limits.
I love the idea of tech-free zones.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll make my bedroom a phone-free sanctuary.
That's a great idea.
So I can actually, relax and get a good night's sleep.
And it doesn't have to be all or nothing, right?
Right.
You can start small and gradually increase the amount of time you spend disconnected.
Right.
The key is to find what works for you and to be consistent.
Okay. What about all those notifications?
Right.
I swear my phone is constantly buzzing with alerts and updates.
I know.
It's so hard to resist checking it every time something pops up.
Notifications can be a major distraction, but you do have the power to control them.
Okay.
Go into your settings and customize your notification preferences.
Yeah.
Maybe you only allow notifications for essential apps, or you schedule specific times of day to check emails and messages.
It's funny how we've become so accustomed to being constantly connected that we kind of forget that we have a power to set those boundaries.
It's true. We've become so used to instant gratification and the constant flow of information that I think we've lost touch with the importance of slowing down and being present.
Right. Okay, so setting boundaries is key.
Yes.
What about being more mindful of the content I consume?
That's another crucial aspect of building a healthier relationship with technology.
Okay.
Think about the accounts you follow on social media
Yeah.
and the types of content you're engaging with. Does it leave you feeling inspired and informed and connected? Or does it kind of drain your energy and maybe contribute to feelings of like comparison or envy or inadequacy?
I have to admit, there are definitely some accounts I follow that make me feel worse about myself.
Yeah.
I get so caught up in those highlight reels,
Yeah.
I forget that everyone's just showing their best selves online.
It's so easy to fall into that trap, and that's why it's so important to be selective about what you consume.
Right.
Unfollow or mute accounts that trigger negative emotions or that make you feel bad about yourself.
Yeah.
Fill your feed with content that uplifts you, inspires you, and aligns with your values.
That's a great reminder. It's like cleaning out my mental closet.
Yeah.
Getting rid of the things that no longer serve me.
Exactly. And remember, you're in control, right?
Right.
You have the power to curate your online experience and to choose what you allow into your mental space.
This has been so helpful.
Yeah.
I'm feeling more empowered already.
Good.
But before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier. Advocating for better tech.
Yes.
What does that look like in practice?
So advocating for better tech can take many forms.
Okay.
It can be as simple as supporting companies that prioritize ethical algorithms, data privacy, and user well-being.
Right.
You can vote with your wallet by choosing products and services from companies that align with your values.
That makes sense. I never thought of it that way.
Sure.
But every purchase we make is kind of a vote for the kind of world we want to live in.
Absolutely. You can also raise awareness by talking to your friends and family about these issues.
Right.
Share articles, documentaries, podcasts
Sure.
that highlight the importance of ethical technology and, digital literacy.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's about starting a conversation and spreading awareness.
Exactly. And remember, collective action can be powerful.
Okay.
Support organizations and initiatives that are working to promote, digital rights, ethical AI development, and responsible technology use.
Wow, this deep dive has really opened my eyes to the complexities of our relationship with technology.
Yeah.
But it's not all doom and gloom, right?
Right.
I mean, technology has the potential to do so much good in the world.
You're absolutely right. Technology can be an incredible force for good.
Yeah.
It can connect us, empower us, and help us solve some of the world's most pressing challenges.
Yeah.
The key is to use it wisely and intentionally.
I think that's the perfect note to end on. It's not about rejecting technology altogether, but finding that sweet spot where it empowers us
Yes.
without controlling us.
Absolutely. It's about being mindful, setting boundaries, and advocating for a digital future that aligns with our values.
I couldn't agree more. This has been such an insightful conversation. Thanks for joining me for this deep dive.
It's been my pleasure.
And all our listeners out there, we hope you found this conversation as enlightening as we have. Remember, the power to shape our relationship with technology lies in our hands. Choose wisely, stay curious, and stay connected.